Hi, my name is Jim Flauaus. Thank you for joining the training on how to put your IRS stress behind you and get a fresh start. Specifically, I'm going to share with you step by step how to solve your IRS tax debt problem in 30 days and even settle for less than you owe. And notice I didn't say settle for what you owe. I said settle for less because the IRS cuts deals if you qualify, and we'll cover that in detail in a bit. This information will be helpful for anyone who has fallen behind with the Internal Revenue Service. If you filed returns without paying the balance due, or if you've not filed for a year or 2 or 5 years, this is for you. If you've received IRS notices demanding money, or threatening a federal tax lien or a bank levy, or a garnishment of your wages, or to take your stuff. If you've had IRS anxiety, stress. And this is something that affects you emotionally, it affects your relationships, not only affects you financially, but your whole life can be affected by an IRS problem. This is for people who feel like they don't have money to even talk about settling an IRS problem, or they don't have time to deal with an IRS matter. Or if you feel like you don't have your records, or you've lost all your bookkeeping and tax records in a crossfire hurricane, or you've moved, or your computer went kaput. If you don't know where to begin or how to get started, the next few minutes can be gold for you. Even if you've already tried to work things out with the IRS on your own, or maybe you've hired a CPA or an attorney, this training will show you step by step what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. I'm going to show you mistakes that taxpayers make in dealing with the IRS. I'm going to explain various new programs the IRS has made available to settle your tax matter. I've seen all kinds of crazy situations. I work all day with taxpayers who feel stress, confusion, and chaos around their IRS problem. And at the end of the day, I want you to come away from this with clarity and control and peace of mind around your situation. Does that sound good? All right, well, so you know who I am. I know firsthand the emotional and the financial stress caused by the IRS. Back in 2006, I launched a new business, and then a couple years into it, I saw revenues go down significantly because of the mortgage crisis. In the struggle to keep my business afloat, I left myself fall behind with the IRS. And I really learned how brutal the IRS can be when they think you have their money. So I've been there, done that, fixed that. But my own story really motivated me to take the experience and the expertise that I had gained in solving my own tax matter and to put it to work helping others fix their problems. Fast forward to today, I'm in good standing with the IRS. In fact, I'm an enrolled agent, which means I'm authorized by the US Treasury to represent taxpayers before the IRS. Here's my mission statement. I rescue taxpayers in trouble with the IRS, and I give them a fresh start. I am founder and president of Anchor Tax Relief. I provide help to hundreds of small business owners. I've prepared thousands of tax returns. I've settled IRS representation cases for thousands of dollars, $25,000, $50,000, even $100,000 or more, and more on that coming up. Beyond business, I am a marathon runner. I also am a college football fanatic, especially when it comes to my alma mater, Notre Dame. I enjoy time with my family and traveling a lot because our grandchildren live out of town and we go see our children and grandchildren often. So here's my question for you. Hasn't the IRS been kicking your butt long enough? Isn't it time you started kicking theirs? What you really need is to develop a kick-butt strategy to end your IRS problem. It's like any coach who's going into a game. There's a process to it, and there's many steps to the process. If you're going to make a winning game plan, first off, though, you have to make a decision. You have to decide you're going to see the process through. I talk all the time with people who want to solve their tax problem. They intend to fix it. They want to get a fresh start. They hope something's going to change. But none of that matters unless you make a commitment that you're going to get this done. That you're going to have bulldog determination to complete the process that I'm about to set out for you. And then set a deadline to get it done. 30 days. 30 days to a fresh start. You can't let your past mistakes get you stuck in neutral or grounded in guilt or some kind of shame about what you've done. Hey, we have all made mistakes. Tax problems are like bad weather. They happen to everybody. They happen to good people who get sick, who lose their job, or their business hits a downturn, and they fall behind. It happens. But we don't let our mistakes define us. We don't see failure as final. Instead, we choose to fail forward, no matter which way the wind blows. We never see failure as final. So look, the important thing is, don't let your tax problem overwhelm you. Don't let the process overwhelm you. Just break it down to steps. Because what does NASA do when mission goes on a problem? They work the problem. They work it one step at a time, and they put all their worries and concerns about what if this or what if that. They push those aside, and they put all their focus on fixing the problem one step at a time. So, what's the first step? Well, the first step to fixing any problem is make sure you understand the problem. Many taxpayers can't even answer my question when I ask, well, how much does the IRS claim you owe? They start searching the ceiling for answers. If you're going to fix your problem, you need to know everything the IRS knows about your problem. You need to ask the right questions, analyze the answers that are given to you, and assess your situation. How much do you owe total? And how much of that is actual tax, how much of it is penalties, and how much is interest? Then break those three elements down year by year. For each year, also ask what's the assessment date. This is important because there are statutes of limitation that can work in your favor. Also, for each year, ask what the collection expiration date is, or what we call the CSED. As you may know, there's a 10-year statute on collections, but the clock doesn't start and end like you may think it does, so get the exact date. Were any substitute returns filed for you? These are called SFRs, substitute for returns. These are generally not in your favor, so chances are you'll want to file an actual prior year return to lower your balance due if the IRS has already filed a substitute return. Are there any returns outstanding? Anything unfiled according to IRS records? And finally, what type of taxes are past due? Are these income taxes? Is it a civil penalty? Are they payroll taxes, trust fund recovery penalty, and so on? Call the IRS and ask all these questions at 7 a.m. Eastern Time to minimize your hold times. And treat the IRS representative on the other line courteously. Hey, they didn't create your tax problem. In fact, in many cases, you'll be talking to some hardworking American earning $12, $13 an hour. They're trying to support their family. They just happen to be doing it as an IRS employee. Or if you don't want to call, go to irs.gov. Type Get Transcript in the search bar, and then follow the instructions on how to obtain a record of account transcript. Note those words. There are several types of transcripts. The one you want is a record of account transcript. Get one for every year you owe taxes. It'll give you all the information you need. Happy to help you. Now, you may be thinking, I don't have time for this right now. I don't have time to pull all this stuff together. My life is just running crazy. And I totally understand it. My life is full of things I need to do right now, too. I've always got more things to do than I've got time. So the key is to focus our time on the most important tasks. Is ending your tax problem important? Well, if it is, then don't wait until the IRS has seized your accounts or closed your business or garnished your wage and then added on penalties that can add up to more than what the taxes were. Step 2 is get into compliance. Now, what do I mean by compliance? Well, we asked earlier if there were any outstanding unfiled returns. If there are, you've got to file them because you can't cut a deal with the IRS until two things are happening. One, all your returns are filed, and two, you've got to be making estimated payments if your federal taxes that are being withheld from your paycheck or your pension aren't enough to cover your annual tax bill, or maybe you just don't have any withholdings because you're self-employed, the IRS is expecting you on this year's taxes to be making payments as you go on a quarterly basis. Here's the deal. Until you're in compliance, you can't get any resolution on your tax problem. The ticket window is closed. You can't even get into the game until you're in compliance. So get in compliance. You can draft the best game plan in the world, but if you're not doing these things, if you're not in compliance, you can't get in the game. So what if you've lost your tax records and your paperwork from 3, 4, 5 years ago, and your return hasn't been filed? What do? Actually, it's not a problem. You can request a wage and income transcript from the IRS. It'll give you all the W-2 information, all the 1099s that were filed. And if you own a business, you can even prepare a business return based on industry statistics for your deductible expenses. So at this point, you can get the analysis step done in 1 week. You can get the compliance step done in the second week, and you're off and running. So let's go on to step 3, which is the resolution step. This is where you choose which IRS program is best suited for your situation. And there's 4 of them, and we're going to go through them step by step. So let's start with the first one, which is an installment agreement. Now, what if you finally get that answer to that question, how much do you owe the IRS, but you can't pay it in full? Duh! Set up a monthly installment agreement. You can set up a monthly pay plan with the IRS if you can't pay all at once, but the key is don't set up a plan that you can't afford. So know before you go there, how much can you realistically afford to pay every month? And how do they determine that monthly amount? Well, it's simply math. Take the amount you owe, divide it by 72 months. Now, if you owe less than $10,000, take the amount and just divide it by 36 months. You can set that payment plan up online. It's automatic. The IRS will accept it regardless of your credit rating. If you owe 10 grand or less, set it up online. But if you owe more than 10 grand, say you owe $50,000. Well, if you're going to accept an IRS installment agreement, you're going to have an $830 payment. Can you afford an $830 monthly payment? Maybe not. Frankly, this is where most taxpayers get themselves into a bigger mess with the IRS than they start with. And this is why TV ads start with, if you owe the IRS $10,000 or more. This is where people get in trouble. They just set up an installment agreement and then they can't keep the agreement. What if you can't afford the $830 payment? Well, then you would go with option 2, which is a partial payment agreement. A partial pay installment agreement is actually one where you pay in less than what the actual number would be if you ran it for 72 months. They reduce your monthly payment to whatever is affordable for your family, and the affordable amount is determined by how many are in your family, where you're located geographically, and what your monthly expenses are. Example, does it cost more for housing and food and transportation for a family in Boston than it would in Austin, Texas? Well, of course. Would it cost more for a family of 4 than for a household of 2 members? Well, of course. So the IRS takes this into account. Did you know that federal law prohibits the IRS from collecting a monthly amount that would be detrimental to the health and welfare of the family that owes the money? They want their money, but they have to stay within what are called the national and local financial collection standards. You can find these online. You ought to look it up. If your mortgage or your rent payment is in line with the collection standards, then you could qualify for a partial payment agreement. On the other hand, if you're way overspending on your housing, you're making payments on a Mercedes, you're dining out every night, you're probably not going to qualify. What you do is you prepare IRS Form 433, and you give special attention to Section 5, which is called Monthly Income and Expenses. But what if you're experiencing financial hardship, like legitimately you can't pay anything? Well, then option 3 is probably your solution. It's called Currently Not Collectible Status. Currently Not Collectible puts the IRS on hold for 2 years. And during this period, they can't contact you, they can't threaten you, they can't levy your accounts. It's a temporary fix, and you also complete Form 433 to qualify. But let's define financial hardship. This is where the monthly expenses on Form 433, Section 5, and they're over here in the right-hand column, if those add up to a total at the bottom that is bigger than the total in the left-hand column, which is the income, well, then clearly you don't have any money to pay taxes with right now. You're underwater, and it's legitimately so. And that's where the IRS could settle for less than what you owe via an offer in compromise. And that would be our fourth option. Yes, the IRS does cut deals based on either a doubt as to your liability. In other words, you establish doubt as to whether you really owe the money, or doubt as to collectability, where you establish the doubt as to your revenue collection potential. We'll explain that term in a minute. But to give you an idea of how this might work, we've had a couple situations that dramatize how powerful this could be. We had a W-2 employee with $63,000 in debt to the IRS, including taxes, penalties, and interest. After many years of life in the fast lane, he got off that way of life, secured a steady income, but not enough to pay down $63,000 within 10 years. So he didn't own a home, he didn't have any other assets to liquidate, and the IRS settled for $9,000. Here's another situation. A business owner out of business, already lost his home, on disability. He owed over $350,000 in back taxes and interest, including penalties for not remitting some payroll taxes on his closed business. Well, we ended up liquidating some other assets, including a Harley, and settled for $22,500, all of which he paid to the IRS over a 24-month period. So how do you qualify? It's all about what the IRS calls revenue collection potential. What you do is, and it's calculated on IRS Form 433, which we've mentioned twice before, and also IRS Form 656. But it's basically a combination of what you have that can be liquidated, which would be cash, bank accounts, retirement accounts, your boat, your motorcycle, real estate, jewelry, furniture, vehicles, what they can actually liquidate, plus what you have in terms of monthly income that is over and above monthly expenses. So that's what's called revenue collection potential. I recommend that you actually use a pre-qualifying tool on the IRS website. It's the Offer and Compromise Pre-Qualifier. You may be thinking, this looks overwhelming and I'm just not that good with numbers and tax forms. I understand. The only thing I ever went to summer school for was math. And I'm an accountant. But it's like anything, I guess. You work at something, you persevere, you get more competent at it. And like I said earlier, just work the problem one step at a time. And in this case, the IRS pre-qualifier tool really does simplify the process. Okay, so now we've gone through the analysis step and the compliance step and the resolution step. And now it's time for step 4, which is get your penalties reduced. Typically, penalties and interest add up to about 1/3 of the total amount you owe to the IRS. Through procrastination, they add up, and they can sometimes be as high as the tax itself. One of the ways to fix this is to request a first-time penalty abatement. This is an often overlooked IRS waiver, and it's available for the first year that you failed to file or filed late. Just for that first year, request in writing a first-time penalty abatement. You can also get reduced penalties for what is known as reasonable cause. Let's say you had a fire or a crossfire hurricane that prevented you from meeting your tax responsibilities. That's reasonable cause. So it would be a death or serious illness of someone in your family. Even if you can demonstrate that you did use ordinary and necessary business care and prudence and still couldn't file on time, well, you could get some of your penalties reduced if you documented that. Now, let's go to the last step, which is step 5, and it's simple because now you have completed the process and it's time to celebrate. Just imagine how it will feel to settle your tax matter, to put your IRS problem behind you. No more stress. Truly exceptional. What I've shared is information that I've accumulated over years of doing IRS representation work for taxpayers. It's exactly the process we use to resolve tax debt problems for our clients. I hope you found it helpful and that you can use these steps to settle your tax matter and even settle for less than you owe. At the same time, I do understand this is a lot of information to take in. And knowing what you know now, are you ready to take on the world's most powerful collection agency on your own? You may want to consider an alternative, which is have someone come alongside you, gain an understanding of your situation, and then stand in front of the IRS to settle your tax matter for you. Someone who knows how to deal with the IRS, someone who's done it more than once, someone that can settle your tax debt problem even for less than you owe. Dealing with the IRS collection division is my specialty. What would working with me look like? How does it look? Well, here's what would happen. I don't know if we can help you, frankly, and until we talk, I don't know if we're the right firm to represent you. But what I can offer is a free consultation where we have an opportunity to meet with you personally, review your tax matter, look over your options, and then discover what's the best solution for your problem. Should you then decide to move forward, from that moment on, you would never speak to an IRS agent again. We would do it all for you. We would analyze your situation, assess the alternatives, choose the best option for your situation, put together a winning game plan, and then deal with the IRS on your behalf to settle your tax matter. When it comes to resolving IRS problems, I've been there. I've done that for myself and then for many others. And I'll help you do it too. But unlike national tax firms that you see advertising on late night TV or radio, I won't tell you what you want to hear up front and then overpromise and underdeliver. That's an all too frequent problem. It comes when you call someone you don't know and you seek help about something that's really important to you, but you may not know a lot about, and then the person on the other line senses there's some money to be made here. Unlike many others who offer tax relief, I won't move forward unless I'm confident that we can resolve your tax problem. So, let's get started with a phone consultation so we can better understand your situation and so you can better understand your options. Good things happen if you take action now and click the link. But if you delay, bad things can happen. Time is not in your favor. The IRS does not wait around when they think you have their money. They levy bank accounts, they garnish your wages, they take your stuff. Do you really want the IRS to come knocking on your door? You can't afford for that to happen. So go ahead, click the link, and I look forward to meeting you. It really is possible to put your tax problem behind you permanently.